They say lies can hold for a while, but all it takes is one well-placed truth to make them collapse. William Elliott sat across from detectives, insisting he had nothing to do with the murder of 23-year-old Maria Best. He calmly claimed he left Maria's apartment long before anything happened and had no idea she'd been stabbed dozens of times. But the detective didn't argue. He simply leaned forward and said,
"Why is your DNA on the rubber gloves that were used?"
That single question cracked William's story wide open. This moment highlights cognitive dissonance in action, a psychological principle where the brain struggles when its version of events doesn't match hard evidence. But the pertinent questions before us are, who is this man and what happened on March the 3rd, 2020? Welcome back to my channel. I don't have many followers yet, but every comment from you is a sign that someone out there is listening, and that means the world to me. On a cold night in early March 2020, in Columbus, Ohio, Maria Best, a 23-year-old woman, was at her apartment, a place that should have been her safe haven. But that night turned tragic. Just hours earlier, Maria had called the police to ask them to remove several people, including William Elliott, from her apartment. She had also tried to press assault charges against William. The tension was high between them. Later that night, Maria was found dead in her apartment, having suffered dozens of stab wounds. Police investigation quickly pointed to William Elliott and a co-defendant named Nikki as prime suspects. Evidence showed William was at Maria's apartment multiple times that night, caught on surveillance, and his DNA was found on rubber gloves used in an attempted cleanup of the crime scene. Nikki was seen stabbing Maria repeatedly while William watched and eventually fled the scene. So the cops arrested William and brought him in for interrogation.
So they tell you why you're down here?
No.
Okay. They didn't tell you. You didn't ask?
Yeah. They said we'll talk about it when we get downtown.
They just told you you had a warrant?
Yeah.
They tell you what it's for?
No.
Murder.
Murder.
Yeah. You have any reason why you'd have a murder warrant on you?
No.
Well, I'd like to talk to you about this. This involves a female by the name of Maria Best. Does that ring a bell? So I'm sure you know what this is. And I'd like to obviously get your side of the story or with regards to her. But I'm going to read your rights first. Have you had your right to review before?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you like to talk to me about this incident?
I just, like I said, this is news to me. So, I mean, y'all get me for murder. I'm not understanding how I'm getting charged for
Okay.
murder.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We can have a conversation about it. Is that something you want to do?
I mean, I'll answer as much as I can, but yeah.
Okay. So, tell me, what was your relationship with Maria Best?
Right at the beginning, the detective tells William he's being charged with murder, but does not give all the details up front. This tactic, often referred to as controlled disclosure, is designed to provoke a natural, unrehearsed reaction.
So, tell me, what was your relationship with Maria Best?
She was the girlfriend of my friend Michael.
Michael who?
Bledsoe.
Okay. How long have you known her?
Long time, like 6, 7, maybe 8 years.
When was the last time you saw her?
The night that we stayed with her and the police got called and she kicked us out the apartment.
So when did you find out what happened to Maria?
The next day,
Who told you?
Michael and Kristen,
What did they say?
it was like Maria's dead.
What'd you say to that?
I was like, wow, like, what happened? And they was like, well, we don't know. She got stabbed or something like that. And I was like, wow.
They told you she got stabbed?
Mm-hmm.
They tell you anything else?
Mm-hmm.
They say anything about the police showing up or anything like that?
Yeah, they said they both got brought downtown or something like that, or I don't know. I was distraught because I was like, wow. I was like, so they're probably gonna put it on me. And she was like, why would you say that? I said, because the night before she pressed charges on me and then dropped charges. And she was like, yeah, probably. And I was like, okay, well.
So you just figured the police were gonna charge you
Yeah, because usually when stuff like this happen, like if somebody files assault charge on somebody and then they drop them, they probably gonna look at me as a suspect. But I didn't think this was gonna happen.
Okay. So how often have you talked to Michael and Crystal since then?
Here and there.
Did they tell you the police were looking for you?
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, Michael said that they might want to talk to me.
That's all he said, that they might want to talk to you? So is there anything else about that night you might think I want to know?
To be honest with you, I think that if somebody did kill her, and I don't like really talking to the police and that, but honestly, I think if somebody did kill her, it would probably have to be either Nikki or Michael.
The detective moves into a conversational tone, asking William about his relationship with Maria and what he knows about the events. This approach is based on the rapport-building principle crucial in interrogation psychology.
Do you know how DNA works? Okay. I got a search warrant signed by a judge so I can get your DNA. Now, when we look at your DNA, do you think we're going to find anything matching anything at Maria's apartment?
Like what? I mean, to my fingerprints all over the apartment, because we did stay there.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing you're gonna find. Yeah, I admit to that. You probably gonna find fingerprints there because we stayed there.
Well, let's do this. How about I tell you, I know you didn't get on the bus at 10 or 11 o'clock at night. Okay. I know you were back in Maria's apartment several times throughout the night after you guys had gotten kicked out. I know that you had to have seen that there's a police station right across the street.
Yeah, I know that.
And that there's an OSU hospital right across the street.
Right.
Every one of those has surveillance cameras everywhere.
Right.
Come watch you guys leaving Jeremy's apartment and going to Maria's apartment and back and forth. I also talked to Crystal. I also talked to Michael. They did not do you any favors. So if you want to go alone on this, that's entirely up to you.
Sure, you didn't do me no favors.
They didn't do you any favors. Their story, their statement about you and the things that occurred that night are nothing compared to what you just said. Don't look confused, because obviously I did not file a murder warrant on you just on a hunch or because some assault thing. There's a reason I filed a murder warrant on you, because I have evidence to show that you were in there when that girl got killed.
When Maria got killed?
Yes, when Maria got killed. I know you were. You've already lied to me a dozen times. You didn't get on no bus. The police didn't even show up till 12:30 at night.
12:30 at night?
Yeah, they didn't show up till 12:30 to kick you guys out. They all have body cams on. Everything's documented.
What time? So you telling me?
So you didn't get on no bus?
It had to be before 12:30.
No, it wasn't. I'm not lying to you. I know what time it was. Everything's on video. When the police showed up, you showed your ass, telling them they couldn't come in the apartment, and then you stormed off.
Yeah.
Right. That was not at 9, 10 o'clock. You didn't catch no bus that night. You didn't go out west. The video camera from OSU Hospital shows everything. It's right at Jeremy and Maria's front door. It could not be a better picture. So, is that the story you want to stick with?
Once William's story starts to unfold, the detective introduces firm evidence, surveillance footage, witness statements, and DNA results that directly contradict William's narrative. This technique leverages cognitive dissonance theory.
So you're telling me that when the police...
No, I'm not telling you.
You're saying the police didn't show up to 12:30, 1 o'clock?
Yeah, the police did not show up to 12:30. I can show you, but that's beside the point. The fact is, everything's on video. The video from OSU Hospital shoots right at her apartment building. I can tell every time her door is opened. I can tell every time somebody walks in. Now, I know that you weren't in there by yourself. So if you want to tell me exactly what happened that night, okay, listen, you don't need to lie to me. If you don't want to talk to me, say you don't want to talk. But if you're going to lie to me, don't waste your time.
Because you're trying to say you putting a murder case on me, saying that I went in there and I did something to that girl?
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what I'm saying.
No, because I would have never hurt that girl ever.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to keep it real with each other, no, I didn't go in there and do nothing to her.
So you weren't there when it happened?
I left before it happened.
Before what happened?
Before she got stabbed.
Who stabbed her?
Nikki.
How do you know?
Because she was the only one left in there.
Nikki was the only one left in there?
Yeah.
Because Crystal said when she went back over there, Nikki came and got her. When she went back over there, you were sitting in there. You were Nikki. You guys were all threatening her. Nikki kicked her in the face. Crystal freaked out and left. And you were still in there.
Yeah, that's true. But I left after.
So you're lying. You already met. So now you're going to try and tell the actual story of what actually happened?
Before that happened, yes, Nikki did kick her in the head. I left.
Who was beating her up before that?
Michael did the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I ain't lie about that.
And you were just sitting there. You didn't have anything to do with it.
No, I didn't touch her at all. That's God's honest truth.
No point did you ever touch her.
No.
The detective points out lies and contradictions repeatedly, making it clear that deception won't work. This persistent, calm confrontation is a psychological tactic that increases pressure without aggressive hostility. It subtly encourages the suspect to cooperate, since continued denial seems futile.
Why is your DNA all over the rubber gloves you guys used?
Now that I don't have no problem with because I didn't touch nothing in there at all. All I know is that when I went in there, Nikki was like, I'm going to kill this bitch.
Why is your DNA on the rubber gloves that were used?
What's rubber gloves? I didn't touch no rubber gloves.
Well, your DNA's on the rubber gloves that we found in the trash can, along with the knife that we found, along with the other rubber gloves we found. You can't argue DNA. You know how it works.
You're saying that I've had on rubber gloves.
Why do you think they were worn on it? The DNA matched you.
How? There's no way.
Because you put on rubber gloves when you guys tried to clean up the apartment.
Wow. I didn't have no rubber gloves on at all.
I mean, you can go by yourself, or you can tell me exactly what happened, and we can charge the other people involved in this. It doesn't matter to me.
I didn't kill that girl.
Okay. Is that the story you're going to stick with?
I didn't kill her.
I didn't say yours was the only DNA on rubber gloves, but your DNA was on rubber gloves. So if you want to tell me exactly what happened in there, you can tell me. I know it's rough, man. I know you don't want to talk to the police. I know you don't want to get yourself in a jackpot. But you're in the big jackpot right now. So, like I told you, we got video watching you guys going in and out of the apartment all night long. So you just tell me who did what.
Finally, the detective emphasizes the physical evidence like DNA on gloves and knives, something that cannot be easily disputed. This appeals to the suspect's reality testing, making it clear that objective facts exist beyond his words.
Nikki stabbed her.
How many times she stabbed her?
I don't know, like 6 or 7. After 7-1, I left and went out the window. I was trying to see it get done.
She was stabbed a lot more than 6 or 7.
After 6 or 7, I went out the back window. I was like, I'm not about to be a part of this.
You went out the back window?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Because Michael and them said that you ran out the back window when the police showed up.
No, I went out the back window when we was in Maria's apartment because I wasn't trying to be a part of it.
So you weren't there when the police showed up?
But yesterday, the next day?
Then in the morning, when the police got called about her.
No, because I went out the window probably like right after Jeremy left. I could go out the front door, wherever he went at. I was way gone before that.
Did Nikki go with you?
Yeah.
Okay, so you and Nikki went out the back window of Jeremy's apartment.
Yeah. Well, the night that Maria got stabbed, I went out Maria's back window.
So you guys, after it was all said and done, you went back over to Jeremy's, and then when he left, you guys bolted out his window.
Right.
Because you thought what?
I thought the reason why I left was because I wasn't trying to get that put on me like that.
Okay. Did you assume that Jeremy was going to go call the police?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. So I don't want to have to put words in your mouth. I want you to tell me.
No, you're absolutely right.
Okay.
But I'm not the one that killed her, girl. I'm not the one that stabbed her. Then we was sitting there, and Michael was like, oh, you know, I made a key. We can get back in. And I was like, okay. He was like, I said, what do y'all want to do? And Nikki was like, well, I want to go over and beat her ass. So that's when we went back over there.
Okay, so who all went back over that time?
Me, Michael, and Nikki.
Okay, so how'd you get in?
Michael used the key, open the door.
Okay, Michael used the key to open the door, and then what?
We went in, she was by the door, so Nikki pushed the door, and Maria fell down, and she started beating her up, and then she was screaming for me and Michael, and Michael, no, she had a knife in her hand, and Michael
Who had a knife in her hand?
Maria did. And Michael grabbed a knife and threw it like across the floor.
Okay.
And then I was just sitting in the chair smoking a cigarette, and she was yelling for us. She was like, make her stop, make him stop. And like me and Michael was like, what did I say? I said something in the line of like, why would you make us go through this, something like this? Why would you get us kicked out? You know what I'm saying? Like we had everything made or something like that. So Nikki's just steady kicking her or whatever. And I was like, you know what, let's go, y'all. Like, it's cool. Like, so that's when we went back next door. And Nikki was like, I'm not done. So
how was she when you left that time?
laying on the floor, had a big knot on her face.
Was she unconscious? Was she awake? What?
Kind of in and out.
When you left, were you concerned that she was going to get up and call the police?
Not really, because I didn't do nothing to her.
At the start, the detective allows William to describe events in his own words. How Nikki stabbed Maria multiple times, and how William chose to leave the scene by climbing out a window. This technique is rooted in rapport building and motivational interviewing, which helps suspects feel heard and less defensive.
He was getting ready to leave, and he was like, where are you going? He said something about taking his brother to court. And I was like, no, that don't sound right. So I got up, brushed my teeth, and I was like, well, I'm out of here. And then I went out the window, and then like Crystal calls me, and she was like, the police are here. I'm like, police are where?
Wait, you said Nikki went with you?
Yeah, Nikki went out the window with me. Yeah.
So did you guys talk, say we're getting out of here, or what?
No, I went out first. I started walking down the street, and when I looked back, Nikki was following me, and I'm like, where are you going?
And she said?
And she was like, I'm getting up out of here. And I'm like, why? What happened? And then that's when I asked her, I was like, did you kill her? And she was like, we'll talk about it later. And I'm like, well, I'm not about to be around you. So I went my way and she went her way. I didn't think it would ever come to that. I didn't think that she would go that far. I mean, I know her and Maria had problems before, and she threatened to beat her or whatever, but I didn't think it'd go that far. Like I said, after I seen her stab her a couple more times, I went out the window and I was like, no, I'm done. I'm cool.
And did you go back in and try to help clean up your apartment?
No, I did not. That's no lie.
What point did you put on the rubber gloves?
Probably when I climbed out the window and I was like, I'm not trying to be a part of this. Because I didn't want my fingerprints to be on the window.
Where'd you get the rubber gloves?
They was already in the apartment because we used them cleaning up. Like, you know, when we mopped and swept and everything.
They were in Maria's apartment?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you can't be lying to me.
I know.
Because those gloves belong to Jeremy. Those were his rubber gloves that he used to put in catheters. You asked Jeremy if he had rubber gloves.
No, Nikki asked me if he had rubber gloves.
No, you asked Jeremy if he had rubber gloves. And Michael got the rubber gloves.
He's lying because I remember Nikki asked him, does he have rubber gloves? And he gave them to her, and she was like,
See, so you lied. You were not in Maria's apartment.
No, listen, there was some already in there on her table because earlier that day, he had gave her some. I remember the blue one sitting on the table. Well, before we left out of Germany's to go back into Nikki asked Jeremy and said, can we get some gloves?
When a detective confronts William about the latex gloves found at the scene, which carried William's DNA, this is a direct application of cognitive dissonance theory. By confronting the suspect with physical evidence that contradicts his statements, e.g., denying involvement in cleanup, the detective forces William to reconcile conflicting realities, increasing psychological discomfort.
And I was looking like, why do we need gloves for? And she was like, so we don't leave no fingerprints. So Jeremy did give Nikki some gloves. I'm not going to lie about that. But there were some already in Maria's apartment when we got it.
Jeremy said he didn't give anybody gloves. He said that Michael came and got the box of gloves and you guys put gloves on. No. And your DNA's on the gloves.
It probably is. Like I said, I put them on when I went out the window. I do remember that now.
So you put on gloves to go out a window?
Yeah.
But you didn't put on gloves for anything else that was going on inside your apartment.
Nothing else.
Even though why would you do that? Why would you put on gloves to leave?
Because after I seen her,
You'd already been in there when they were stabbing.
Right, but I'm saying after she started stabbing her, I was like, I'm not about to be a part of this, so I put them on. That's when I climbed out the window. I bet you them gloves I had on probably ain't got none of her blood on her.
So when Michael and Nikki come in here and they're going to say that you helped clean up.
Clean up what?
Clean up her apartment. It's obvious that somebody tried to clean up the apartment.
Well, it wasn't me.
Okay.
I admit I had on gloves, but like I said,
I'm telling you, man, this is your one chance to tell the truth and tell everything happened.
I'm telling you.
I know that, I mean, you are in trouble. There's no doubt about it. But how much of this is going to be you is up to you.
Well, I'm not
trying
to tell you everything and what happened.
So why would Jeremy lie about the gloves?
I don't understand.
Jeremy said you asked him for rubber gloves.
I did not ask him for no gloves. Nikki asked him for some gloves.
Well, there's a big difference between you and Nikki. So I think you would know the difference whether it was you asking for rubber gloves or Nikki asking for.
Why would I ask for gloves?
Because you guys are going over to Maria's apartment.
Right. But why would I ask for them, though? That don't make sense.
Because you went over there and helped clean up.
No, I did not. I told you exactly what happened when we went back in the apartment. She kicked her in the head. She started stabbing her. I was sitting right there. I was like, what are you doing? She was like, I'm about to kill this bitch. So I put on the gloves and I climbed out the window. I did not help clean up nothing.
Nobody's going to buy it. You put on gloves to climb out a window.
Why wouldn't they?
Because why would you do that?
If you see somebody getting stabbed, what would you try to leave your finger?
You've only been in there while she's stabbing her. She's killing her.
I wasn't the only one. Mike woman was there when he seen her get stabbed.
Okay, well. Is there anything else?
Nothing else I can think of.
You sure?
Like I said, if they didn't go on the gloves, yeah, they probably were because I put them on to climb out the window. But cleaning up what? I don't understand what I'd help clean up.
All right. Well, when Jeremy or when Michael gets arrested and when Nikki gets arrested too, and this all unfolds, don't say that and give you an opportunity first.
I don't know what else you want me to tell you. Like I said, I told you everything that happened. I know Nikki started stabbing her, and like I said, I put on the gloves and I went out the window. And you could ask Crystal now when
what do you think Nikki's going to say? She's going to say, "Oh yeah, I started stabbing her, and he put on gloves and ran."
She's probably not going to admit to it, but I'll take a lie to take a test. Jeremy said I asked for the gloves. That's a lie right there. And if Michael and Crystal was probably there and they listened, I guarantee they'll probably tell you I didn't ask for the gloves. Nikki asked for the gloves.
Okay.
The detective introduces testimony from Jeremy, Nikki, Michael, and Crystal, pointing out contradictions between their accounts and Williams. This taps into the social proof principle, where the suspect is psychologically isolated by showing that others are not backing a story.
It's shocking how many criminals are told they have the right to remain silent, and anything they say will be used against them, and still they decide it's a good idea to talk with the police. It appears if you're dumb enough to break the law, you're dumb enough to think you can lie to a human lie detector.
So when Nikki started stabbing her, what'd you think? You were okay with that?
Not really.
So you didn't try to stop her? I mean, you're a big dude. Nikki's a little drug addict. You didn't care that she was stabbing this?
I mean, I did, but it was like, I had so much to drink that night. Like I said, everything happened so fast. And then I was like, after I seen her do it and I seen the blood coming out, I was like, you know what, I'm out of here. And that's when I put the gloves on and I went out the window. And I went back to Jeremy's and I lay down with Crystal and she was like, where's Nikki? I said, I think she's still over there. And that's when she was like, oh my God. And I'm like, all right, so I went to sleep. Then that's when I heard Jeremy get in his wheelchair, and we was like, where you going? He was like, I'm going to pick my brother up, take the court or something. So as soon as he went out the door, I went out the window. And as I got down the street, I see Nikki falling behind me, and then that's when Crystal called me, and she was like, the police here. And I was like, police where? She's like, at Jeremy's. And then that's the last time I talked to her, because I guess apparently y'all had her and Michael and them downtown.
Well, you probably kind of figured why the police were there, didn't you?
Kind of, sort of, but I didn't think that she killed her.
So what did the knife look like she was using?
Like a little knife, maybe, something like maybe that big.
What color handle was that?
I didn't pay attention. I'm not gonna lie to you. I just know it was a knife. It was dark.
Can you say it was about that big?
Maybe so. Probably like that. Maybe.
And when you guys got in the apartment, Maria had it in her hand first, and
the knife Maria had in her hand was like a little silver one. It was all silver.
So the knife that Nikki stabbed her with was a different one?
I think so.
So did Nikki bring that knife with her?
No, it was already in the apartment because it was like a little knife set or something on the little sink by the sink.
So there was a knife set on the sink in Maria's apartment? So I still don't understand why you wouldn't have stopped this.
Like I said, I was drinking that night and...
When William expresses that he was drinking and overwhelmed, the detective subtly presses on his inaction. Why didn't he stop Nikki? This plays on moral reasoning and self-concept maintenance theory. People want to see themselves as good or decent. So when confronted with their failure to act, they experience internal conflict.
I mean, Maria was no match for Nikki.
Not at all.
So why would you just let her torture her and stab her?
First of all, I didn't let her. Like, I mean, I could, yeah, you're right. I probably could have stopped her.
Oh, I'm pretty sure you could have stopped her.
Yeah, but I was, like I said, I've been drinking and everything happened so fast. And I was like, I'm getting up out of here. And that's when, like I said, I put on the gloves and I went through the window.
So do you think Michael would ever stab her at any point?
I doubt that.
Don't think he's capable of it?
Oh, I know Michael is. Michael always carries around a knife.
But you don't think if he's capable of stabbing Maria? Just because you carry around a knife doesn't mean you're going to stab somebody.
I don't know. He might be able to. I don't know. I mean, I don't put nothing past nobody.
Were you surprised when Nikki stabbed her?
I was shocked, yeah. Because like I said, her and Maria didn't fought before and she didn't beat her up and they went their ways and it was just, I mean, this has been ongoing with them too.
Mm-hmm. So then why does Maria still allow her to come around her then if she's always mean to her?
Because of Michael.
I mean, were you scared of Nikki?
Nikki can be, Nikki's a monster. She could be detrimental.
So she must be nervous? You scared of her?
Not really, but I mean, I know what she's capable of doing.
So what we're going to do is, I got a judge sign a search warrant. I'm going to take your DNA again.
Right.
And then you're going to jail. You probably won't be in there alone for long. Is there anything else that you think I might need to know that you might want to get off your chest? This is, like I said, this is going to be your one opportunity.
Toward the end, the detective warns William about upcoming arrests of his accomplices and stresses that this is his one chance to tell the truth. This is a classic loss, aversion, and future consequences framing tactic. The suspect is motivated to cooperate to avoid harsher penalties or to gain some control over the outcome, often leading to fuller confessions.
I mean, I kept it real with you. I told you everything I've seen, everything I know. So everybody wants to lie now. Wow.
Well, you started out lying.
All right, but I end up telling you the truth, though.
Well, maybe they'll end up telling me the truth.
The thing is,
if you weren't okay with this, why you would just let Nikki just stab on this girl?
because after the first couple times, and I was like, what are you trying to do? Like, you really trying to kill her? And like I said, I was drinking that night and I got discombobulated, and I was like, you know what? I'm not about to be a part of this. So that's, like I said, that's when I went out the window and I went back over there and lay down with Crystal and went to sleep.
But why kill her? For what reason?
I don't know.
You just be that pissed off because she kicked you out of an apartment that wasn't even yours?
She's on drugs. Like,
did you see her doing drugs that night?
yeah. She shot up some heroin.
Was that her drug of choice?
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever she has?
That too. Crystal meth.
All right, I just need to tell you, have back a little bit. Just relax your mouth and get inside your cheek. Because my guess would be, when Nikki comes in here, she gonna put on you.
I already know. But that's trick no good though, because she ain't gonna be able to. Because if you ask Krista what time I came and laid down with her, because she woke up as soon as I lay down, she was like, "Where you been?" And I was like, "I just left Maria's." I said, "Nikki's still over there." So whatever time it was that I woke Krista up, she could tell you exactly that Nikki didn't come back with me. I guarantee that's what Krista will tell you. And no, Michael was still up because Michael was on his phone.
Throughout the interrogation, William is allowed to tell his story in pieces, admit limited involvement, and explain his perspective. This approach aligns with the foot-in-the-door technique, where small concessions are encouraged to pave the way for larger confessions. It also helps maintain the suspect's sense of control and dignity, reducing resistance. William Elliott was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for the 2020 murder of Maria Best in Columbus, Ohio. On August 10, 2022, Judge Stephen McIntosh imposed this sentence after a jury convicted Elliott of aggravated murder, aggravated burglary, kidnapping, and tampering with evidence. The crime involved Elliott and a co-defendant restraining, taunting, and repeatedly stabbing Best over several hours. Evidence, including DNA on a knife and rubber gloves found at the scene, linked Elliott to the murder. In addition to the life sentence, Elliott received 11 years each for aggravated burglary and kidnapping, which will run consecutively, and 36 months for tampering with evidence, to be served concurrently. These sentences reflect the severity of the crime and ensure that Elliott will remain incarcerated for the rest of his life.